Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I'm going to show you how you can make your very own Buffalo Plad pattern paper or decor items using supplies you already have. This video is brought to you by Rubber Stamp Tapestry. You can find the stamps I'm going to use later on in the video at pegstamps.com. But first, we're just going to jump right in and make some beautiful backgrounds. All you're going to need is a striped stencil. If you don't have a striped stencil, you could make some with either plastic or with cardstock and just cut slits. Or you can actually use masking tape, but I'll talk a little bit more about that later when we get into the paint version. So what I'm doing here is a couple different techniques. One is if you want a subtle look, use your ink brushes just to brush on some ink. If you want a more dramatic look, use your ink pad directly over the stencil, and that's going to fill in a little bit more. Because the stencil is a little thick, I used a sponge blender to pull some of the ink off the stencil and get it into the grooves a little bit more. Now all you have to do is turn your stencil at a 90-degree angle so your lines are perpendicular to one another. I do recommend tapping it down with a little bit of tape so it doesn't move, and then repeat the process over again. The cool thing about doing the ink pad dragging is that you get a little bit of that fabricy texture, but when you do the blending brush, you get more of a soft gingham texture. So it really just depends on the look you're trying to get for your project. And if you have a freshly re-inked ink pad, you're going to get a more bold image as well. Now, if you have a wider stencil like I do here, that's even easier to use with your direct to paper technique because your ink pad's going to fit down in those grooves a little bit better. And don't worry about the ink on the stencil because we can go ahead and use our ink blending tools or makeup applicator, whatever you have for a sponge, and you can push that right into the stencil opening. So you don't really have much to clean up when you're done because you end up wiping off all of the ink. And then again, you turn your stencil perpendicular and do it again. Now look at the cool different look you get when you do the black ink on top of red paper. It really gives you that farmhouse classic Buffalo Plad look. And then you can trim it down to whatever size you need for your project. Now something else I wanted to mention here is that if you wanted to do a piece of furniture, say, you could totally use masking tape, and instead of having a stencil, you just put your lines of masking tape like an even width apart. And then you'd use acrylic paint like I'm going to show you here. I'm just using some artist grade acrylic paint, but to tell you the truth, craft acrylic paint will work a little bit better because this stuff is so thick, I'm actually going to have to put a little bit of water in it to thin it down. The technique though that you're going to use is called dry brushing. And that means you've got a little bit of paint and it's only on the tippy tops of your bristles. You don't want to load that whole brush up with paint. You just want to kind of load it up by pouncing it into the paint. So you dab, dab, dab on your palette to pick up your color, and then you're going to drag it. So you end up with this streaky, almost fabric-like look on your paper. Now let's try this look again with a smaller stencil. It works really well. You'll want to probably turn your brush on its edge to get in the grooves, but you get a very similar look, but you'll get more of that smaller gingham check. So something like a basic striped stencil I think is really nice to have in your stash, any of those basic patterns, because it's going to give you really classic looks that aren't going to go out of style. So after you've let that paint dry a little bit, because it's not going to absorb really quick like ink does, it will take a couple minutes to dry, not too long. You want to stick your stencil back down again at a 90-degree angle, brush over your ink, and look at that beautiful distressed vintage Buffalo Plad. Now this is a technique for furniture. You use masking tape so you can go around any like curves, like on a Windsor chair or something, and that would just look so gorgeous on a trunk, on a cigar box, on the seat of a chair. It would just be beautiful, and you can do it with supplies you already have at home. If you want to use tape and your paper crafting, stick the tape to your sweater or your jeans a few times before you stick it to your paper, and you'll be all set. And then you can use your heat tool if it is stubborn so it doesn't rip your paper. But stencils are a great investment for projects like this. So this next technique I'm going to show you is making your own stamps. So I simply took a piece of fun foam and I cut a couple strips out of it. So one's about 3/8 of an inch wide and the other one's maybe 3/4 of an inch. I wanted to get a variety so that we could do a variety of different size plaids here. So you can use these stamps on their own, like I'm going to show you right here. Just ink it up with whatever ink pad you like, and you can make your Buffalo Plad just like we did with our stencil. Of course, you're going to be inking up every line and stamping it down, so it will take a little longer. Something you can do if you don't mind using more foam is to actually cut more strips and put them all on a block with a glue stick like I did all at once, and then you could stamp several lines at one time. So that's something to consider. Now you can see the end of my stamp got a little bent. I must have moved it when I was gluing it down, but really in the end it doesn't matter too much because it gives it that kind of like fabric look, like it's maybe a fabric that's been moved a little bit. But same thing as before, you're going to stamp all these lines again perpendicularly. I've made up a new word. I do every time, it seems like. And then you end up with a beautiful gingham style buffalo check. It looks more gingham when it's small, I think. So the other thing I wanted to show you is just simply, well, two techniques here. I'm going to show you doubling up. So we're going to put a small and a big line next to each other. Now this isn't really going to be your buffalo plaid, but this is going to be like another type of plaid where you see different like widths of stripes, and I think it's kind of nice to know, so I wanted to put it here too. Now something you can do with fun foam is heat it up with your heat gun or with a light bulb, something that's hot, and press a texture into it like this plastic canvas. Now I will actually have a like a fabricy texture to my stamp. So you could go out and spend $20 on a stamp that would be like a textured line that you could do plaid with, or you can make it yourself for next to nothing. Like what's a sheet of felt is like what, 25 cents? A sheet of foam is like 25 cents at the craft store. You can make this for 25 cents or free if you already have the supplies. So I love that. You could even use like styrofoam packaging. You could take styrofoam packaging and cut it out and make your own stamps that way. So, you know, do what you got to do. Look at that. Now, I just think that's such a nice classic plaid design. You can put it on an angle and get a really cool look that way. You could even angle it more and just get some really kind of funky looks, and you can even ink up each stripe with a different color if you want to. Now the last idea I have for you might be a little specific. You might not have one of these little rollers. This is an moldy oldie stamping tool called a roll tap, and it came out by Colorbox a few years ago, and what it is a little mini brayer. So if you have a tiny little roller like a foam roller or a soft rubber brayer, a skinny one, go ahead and try making plaid that way. I love how it almost looks like ribbon when you do it this way, almost like an organza ribbon. I think it's so pretty. I don't think this roll tap is made anymore, but you can get narrow rubber brayers by Speedball that would work really well and that you could use for other things too. I think these are so pretty, and my favorite ones are done with the paint and stencils because I like how you get that really gorgeous vintage texture, and you could totally do that on a canvas or on any of your holiday decor items, even on a Christmas present. Really, it would look so pretty. And there you go. You did it with stuff you already had, and it probably didn't cost you anything because you probably have all these supplies at home already. So now we are going to turn those papers into some gorgeous holiday cards, and I grabbed a few peg stamp sets that I thought would be really fun to play with. And you can use whatever you want, but I thought these would be nice. So I'm going to begin by drawing a couple circles, and these are going to be the bases of my wreaths. And I know you've seen me do wreaths like 1,000,001 times, so we're going to make this a really efficient stamping video. And I am using a couple shades of red for my poinsettias here. I'm stamping first in a medium red, then rocking the edges in a darker red, and then doing the shadow in almost like a burgundy color. So I get this beautiful three-tone effect, and it just looks a little more I don't know, refined than just using a single color of ink. So sometimes if you're using your peg stamps, but you want to level up a little bit, try using multiple inks. As long as you start stamping with your lighter color and then you go darker, you're not going to contaminate your ink pad. I'm using a combination of different brands of ink, which is totally fine. They're all dye based, so it's the same type of ink. And I'm using a variety of greens. I'm using a golden brown called caramel and a few different reds. And I think when you mix your colors like this, when you use several colors in the same family, it gives you a beautiful richness and fullness, and it just looks more elegant, I think. Now I'm going to do another one here, and this time I'm using some pine cones, and the thing I really like about this set is the pine cone is solid and the highlights are kind of cut away, or the details are cut away, so you don't have to do any coloring, and it just looks so nice. And I snagged the berry stamp from another set so I could just throw in a little bit of red because I think it really makes the green stand out and makes the wreath extra beautiful. The next project we're going to work on, we are going to take a die, and we're going to use a couple dies here. We're going to take a die and we're going to trace around it. So these are nesting dies, and I'm tracing around one, and I'm using a metallic marker, so any brand of marker is fine, and then I cut it out with a next size up die. So I ended up with a circle with a gold rim, and I wanted this to kind of look like a fancy cookie plate or holiday plate, and I wanted to put some candies on it. So I'm using the candies from my Gingerbread Wonderland clear stamp set that I designed designed for rubber stamp tapestry. And I stamped a few peppermints, then I masked them, because remember, when you make masks for a project, save them with your stamp set because you can use them over and over again. And then I can stamp some green peppermints here and overlap some of the masked ones. And what happens is it looks like I've got this really full dish of candies, some appearing behind others, some appearing in front. And when you remove all the masks, you see the gorgeous three-dimensional look that you have. Now we will add a little bit of realism by some shading, and all I'm using is just a light gray marker, and I put that other dye down just to kind of give the look of, you know how like plates have a rim and then there's like usually a little bit of shadow underneath the rim? That's what I was going for. And then I added a little bit of gray between the candies and overlap, where the candies overlap, right underneath there to give it a little bit more three-dimension. You could spend as much time as you want coloring, and I urge you to do whatever sparks joy in your card making endeavor. So now I'm taking one of those Buffalo Plad papers and sticking it to a craft card base because I love craft, and I took a corner of another piece of Buffalo Plad, inked the edges, and put that down too to kind of look like a little napkin. And then I stuck my plate down on top with some foam squares for a little bit of dimension. The sentiment on this card, I turned to the new Trinkets and Wishes stamp set from Rubber Stamp Tapestry, and I chose the one that says, "May your holiday be sweet." I love this thin font, and I think it just looks really country and works perfectly with the Buffalo Plaid. Then I stamped a peppermint stick above it and die cut it out so it would look nice on the card. I inked the edges to give it a bit of dimension, and then I used a primitive heart punch that I've had in my stash for like over 15 years to put a few hearts in the bottom corners. I wanted to have like a punch of like fabric on here, and I found a scrap of Christmas ribbon that I thought would be really nice, and I notched the ends of this little scrap and stuck it down on my paper. And I love that that sticks down really easily with just regular old adhesive, and I used foam squares to adhere that down to give that a little bit of dimension as well. I thought that this could use something else, so I turned to my trusty wooden embellishments and added some of those because they remind me of Christmas cookies, and then I just took a few leaf die cuts and tucked them in here and there to give me a little bit of complementary color so that it would just make the reds look extra beautiful. So now I'm using some of the smaller checked Buffalo Plaid that we made with a paint and some burlap ribbon. I simply wrapped it around and stuck the ends down to the back. That will give you a place to kind of tuck in die cuts and other goodies, and that way you don't have to worry about any adhesive showing through the front. I decided to use some striped baker's twine to add a little bit of green to the card and wrap that right around the burlap, again giving it that beautiful farmhouse country look that I'm going for. It's so trendy this season, and if you like it, it's a wonderful option. I adhered my wreath on top with some foam tape, just kind of anchoring it at the edges so it would come in contact with the paper, and then I'm tucking in some little leaf die cuts around the wreath, kind of underneath the burlap and underneath the wreath, just to kind of give it some green to make it pop. And then the next one I did in a fairly similar pattern. I used the two versions of the Buffalo Plaid made with paint, one little one from white cardstock and the big one from red cardstock, and again layered it up with the burlap. I really like adding the scale of the two different size checks and then adding the burlap for texture. The satin ribbon would be really pretty against the burlap as a contrast, and I thought a bow would make a nice decoration. So because I need to make a teeny tiny bow, I'm going to use a fork, and you've probably seen this method before, but I'll go over it with you in case you haven't. You simply want to wrap your ribbon around a fork and make sure you have about 3 inches of tail on each side, and then you're going to put one end of the ribbon between the middle tine of the fork under your ribbon, and then the other side of your ribbon is going to go between that middle tine on the top part, and then you're simply going to tie it in a tight knot. You could double knot it if you wanted to, but if you single knot it, you can adjust your bow size a little bit after you take it out. And if you're going to glue it down, one knot will suffice, but if you're worried you're not going to be able to glue it down very well or stitch it down, then you might want to double knot it. I found one was fine if I was gluing it down. So you simply just adjust it until it looks pretty, and then you can trim the ends and glue that onto your project. This bow making method is really great if you need to make a bunch of consistent bows for a project. You can sit down while you're watching TV and just make a ton of bows with a fork. It works great. So basically, I just tried the bow in a couple places to figure out where I wanted it on the card, and I decided it looked pretty good at the top of my card. I used a little zip dry glue behind the knot and also on the ends and just tapped it into place. And then I like to put a clear block on top and let it be weighted down for a couple minutes. And I also use zip dry glue to adhere the Season's Greetings image that I stamped and die cut, and added a couple leaves to either side of that to complete the look. If you want to find any of the stamps I used today, check out our sponsor Rubber Stamp Tapestry at pegstamps.com, and make sure you grab your supplies and give DIY Buffalo Plaid a try. It was so much fun to make these backgrounds, and I think you'll enjoy it too. Thanks for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.